Good morning, Facebook. I wanted to make that one dramatic. I'm just waiting on, I believe we are now public. All right, welcome to the public broadcast system. Make sure that's working. It is. Yes, happy Thursday, 8 a.m. Hopefully for a lot of you, good morning, Mom. Hopefully for a lot of you, this is not bright and early. Hopefully you've been up for a while. Hey, good morning, Matt. So, Matt, look at that. Good morning, Matt Shore. We're going to ride a little bit further than to Racket Lake because I have to get a Strava Grand Fondo before the end of the month. So we're going to add, I think we'll add like, whatever it is, 8 miles. So 4 more miles out and back, but no big deal. Matt and I are doing a little ride from Indian Lake down past Racket Lake on Saturday, taking, I believe, Route 28. Socially distancing ourselves from the world. So happy Thursday. So I was looking in my phone at some of my notes that I kind of write just random thoughts down throughout the day and as they come to me. And one of them was, so like I don't know, this was September of 2019. So a couple months ago. And one of the things that I used to do was when I would hold like a nutrition challenge, I would post it out there, morning Deb. I would post it out there for people to try to spark interest, try to get your brain working a little bit, get you thinking a little bit more. And that is like, how many times do you wake up, like when you wake up in the morning, do you actually like take a step back and take inventory? And what I mean by that is, when was the last time you said like, all right, like truthfully, like, how do I feel today? Both physically, mentally, am I tired? Did I sleep well? Like, how do I feel? And truly take that inventory. And then, what thoughts and emotions, like what is like, am I just like in an edgy mood? Am I pissy? Do I want to fight? Like what thoughts, emotions are present for me today? And then just, then I've got some food ones in here too. And then, I'll get into the other ones, but, and then any new habits, like, is there anything that you've been thinking about? And this kind of ties into the entire week. So anything that you've been thinking about that you're kind of like, I'm going to start that on Monday. Just like I always joke around, can't start a diet until Monday, right? So like, when was the last time you took a quote unquote inventory of how you're truly feeling? For most people, probably never, which in all honesty, like unless you're really truly thinking about it, I'm not surprised, because a lot of times we just kind of like wake up and it's gas pedal down and it's time to go. And, I overslept by 5 minutes, or I've got to, I'm checking my boxes. I'm just doing my thing, and you move on. So I'd challenge you to actually take that moment, take a little bit of time to kind of step back and say like, all right, how am I feeling today? Like, what's going on? My hips are a little bit tight, or, my back is sore. I got slept on my side wrong, like whatever it might be. And then it's like, all right, so how can I address that? Because again, like when we talk about the thought is one thing, but acting upon a thought is completely different. So I might have the thought of like, man, my back is really tight. It's really jacked up today. I'm going to spend 5 minutes, instead of scrolling Facebook or Instagram or whatever, I'm going to spend 5 minutes and just do some real simple stretches to try to loosen my back up. Maybe I'll feel better, maybe I won't. But if I don't feel better, then, I'm probably going to be in a worse mood all day because my back's bothering me, things like that. Same thing like with emotions. Like if you had a really shitty night of sleep, or you woke up and you're scrolling Facebook and you see the constant negativity, does that spark a fire? Do you get, emotional, and not like emotional like you want to cry, but emotional like, just you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of wearing a mask, or you're doing, whatever it might be. So it's like, man, why am I letting this stuff get to me? And it's like, big picture, take that step back, think big picture. But again, if you don't address some of that stuff, and I'm not saying you have to, lay down on your couch with, your spouse standing over you with a notepad, but it's good to take that inventory to see like, man, this is, every time Kevin posts something, I get pretty emotionally charged. I'm going to hide his posts. I'm not going to unfriend him or defriend him or befriend him. I'm not going to eliminate him from my social media circle, but I'm just not going to see any of his posts for the next week and see if that changes my attitude. Good morning, Tracy. Little things like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, or I'm sick and tired of, Aunt Jemima posting about she wants me to buy some multi-level marketing bullshit that she's been selling, and I'm just tired of seeing that stuff. Good morning, Corey. So it's like, all it does is that, again, how many times are you going to get hit with like a little bit of negativity, and it just starts to compound. So, that's why I say, like, start to look, whether you want to call it inward, or I call it just taking inventory. So just take inventory of, how I'm feeling physically, emotionally. And again, emotionally doesn't mean like, you feel like crying or, any of that nonsense. It's just like, are you like emotionally charged by something? Are you super passionate about something? You see it all the time in politics. People get super political on all ends of the spectrum. And then you have the people right down the middle who are like, I just don't give a shit. So then I start thinking about like, okay, so how can all of this also tie back to, fitness and nutrition? So, some of the other things that I have on here is, what are my beliefs about my relationship to food? Am I in control? So do I control like what, like in what I wrote after this is like, I go through phases. I can cut everything out. But as soon as I have a taste of anything, like if I have ice cream, then all I'm going to think about is like, oh man, I'd love to have an ice cream. Oh, it's a beautiful day outside. I should have an ice cream today. Like and once you start going through a lot of those processes with things like sugar, and specifically, you will find ways to justify it. It's just like if you're in an office and you walk by the candy jar, eventually you will cave in and have some if it's there, because it's just that little like nitpick. I always think of it, it's like the kid that's just like tapping on you and saying like, daddy, 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 and you're on, a phone call or whatever. And then finally you're like, oh Jesus, like what do you want? So it's kind of that same kind of idea. And then, have you ever tried to eliminate added sugar out of your life? Like truly tried to like sit down and be like, I'm not going to have any of this added sugar, because to me, added sugar and the chemically altered sugars is like, that is like the primary cause of it's super addictive. And it's a gateway to all of these other comorbidities. So, I spend a lot of time thinking about ways to help people work around, their addiction to sugar. So, have you ever spent time actually thinking about how much food you consume on a daily basis that has added sugars? And again, these are all things that you can do as part of a daily or weekly inventory checklist of like, how am I feeling this week? How am I feeling today? How am I feeling? How's my relationship? How's my food been this week? Were there any days where I'm seeing patterns? Because all this is going to go back to, do you start to develop these patterns where you start out really strong over the week, and then you're by the middle of the week you're tired because you're sleeping like shit because your back hurts and you're not doing anything to correct that. So now you don't want to have that healthy meal. You want something that's more comforting, and then by the weekend you're off the rails again. Morning, Aunt Susie. So taking this inventory allows you to kind of think about that stuff and keep it more in check. And then what am I doing to put these new put habits in place to improve my life? Because again, every day we want to improve our life slightly. We don't want to have these huge leaps and bounds, but we do want our life to get better from yesterday to today, whether it's financially, fitness wise, nutrition wise, like whatever it might be, relationship wise. You always want some level of growth. So again, the primary ones that I think about often is how am I feeling physically today? And not just like I get out of bed and I'm like, oh, my feet hurt because I've been moving too much this week or this month, this year, whatever. But just like overall, like inventory head to toe. How am I feeling? And then what thoughts or emotions are present for me today? And then even getting into your nutrition as far as, how do I, if I was to objectively look at my nutrition on a scale of 1 to 10, where would it fall? And that's something like this scale of 1 to 10 is something that when I worked for Gold's Gym Corporate back in 2006, best fitness manager I ever had was this man, Rodney, down in Washington, D.C. Courtney was good too, because Courtney and I are still friends on the Facebook. She was the assistant manager there. But anyway, we had this checklist that we would go through with new clients, and we would ask them to rate their nutrition on a scale of 1 to 10. Average response was like a 5. And if I now looking back at that 2020 vision, that's 50%. So if you were to rank your nutrition on a daily, weekly basis, where do you think your nutrition would fall on a scale of 1 to 10? And anything less than 80, you should be saying, oh shit, I got to make some changes. Because and again, like we can always revert this back to a work environment. If that was work, you really want to put 70% effort in at your job. What if your boss only paid you 70% of what you felt you were worth? Would you still be there? So, you can look at your food in that same context of, I feel good physically today. My meal plan has been very good this week. I emotionally, I feel good. I've been getting good sleep. I'm not supercharged by what's going on the internet. And, how's my relationship been with food? Well, it's been good. Like I think about cravings, but I haven't acted on them because I know they're not going to help me, whatever it might be. But it's good to have like these thoughts go through your brain. It's good to think about this stuff because again, if you start to put these thoughts there, then you can start to formulate the correct action to be able to move forward. Because if you're sitting there saying like, I just don't know what to do. And it's like, well, what have you thought about? Like, how do you feel? Like, and those are things that I ask people all the time is how do you feel? Like what, tell me 2 things that you like about this, a few things that you don't like about it. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, geez, I haven't really thought about that. And it's like, well, what have you been doing? Because we're so automated. So this forces you to stop being automated, to start thinking about, not only how you feel, both physically, emotionally, and mentally, but then how is your relationship to the foods that you're eating? Are you doing well with that, or do you need to work on that? And then you can start to look at, if I need to work on it, what do I have, like what part, where should I start? And again, Like, we can help you with that. That's super easy for me to be able to say, like, well, give me a quick rundown. What are you eating every day? Oh, okay. Why don't we change this? That's what we do. So, today is all about taking inventory. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll talk about a little game planning, a little action plan for Memorial Day. I don't know what's going to happen with most people for Memorial Day. But it's gonna be a socially distanced Memorial Day for most of you, I'm sure. As always, practice your social distancing, and unfortunately, that sun's shining again today. So I've got to tell you, get your asses outside. I believe it's supposed to be 73 today. Perfect spring day. Make sure you water your plants nice and early so the sun doesn't burn them. Murph. Joe Altier, do you need a weighted vest? Joe's doing Murph on Memorial Day. For those of you who don't know, Murph is a CrossFit workout, and it's to honor, I believe it was Captain. I think he was a Captain, Murphy. He was a Navy SEAL, and they do these hero wads in the movie. Mark Wahlberg's in it. I want to say Shooter, but I could be wrong. I believe it was Lone Survivor. That's what it was. Shooter was another one. The movie Lone Survivor is actually based off of that, the mission where all but one SEAL died. And it is grueling. I think my best time when I was doing the CrossFit was like 45 minutes, 44, 43 or something, because I beat Jesse Eric Schmidt by like 15 seconds. But it's a 1 mile run with a 20-pound vest. If you're doing it prescribed, it's a 1 mile run with a 20-pound vest. And then 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, like air squats, followed by a 1 mile run with a 20-pound vest. Now you can break up the pull-ups, push-ups, squats any way that you want. The most common is 5, 10, 15 for 20 rounds. It's hard. We used to do it over at Clear Path for Veterans. They used to host a Memorial Day Murph event. They did that, I think, for 3 or 4 years. It was awesome to be over there. But yeah, that is, if you're a CrossFitter, that's what you do on Memorial Day is you get right after that. It's a great workout. Again, with any workout, you can always scale it back. If you can't do pull-ups, you can do ring rows. If you can't do ring rows, you can do bent over rows. Any level of pulling gives you a stimulus. So, that'll be fun. I will not be doing Murph because I don't do CrossFit anymore. But yeah, it's so hopefully the weather looks like it's supposed to. Memorial Day up here is always ridiculously nice. Maybe Matt and I will be able to ride our bikes again on Memorial Day. I don't know when we're coming back from camping, but maybe we get some good miles in down here instead of doing Murph. But I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day. I'll see you tomorrow. I will also be on Monday morning from somewhere in the United States. I don't know what it's going to look like for cell service where we're going. So you might be getting an action shot from me in the camper with hopefully the kids are awake by then. Jerry's still sleeping right now. So hopefully they're up by then. We get them out running around, get some energy out. But hope you guys have a great day. Again, mid-70s today, nothing but sunshine. Get outside, get a little bit of that vitamin D, and stay safe. Practice your social distancing. You know the drill by now. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.